Thanks everybody for joining. Um, to three things to do now to set your firm up for success in 2026. So if that is the webinar that you registered for, then you are in fact in the right place. And I am super excited about this conversation that we're going to have today. Before I bring Nichole on, I do want to introduce myself. I don't want to assume that people have been on these conversations before. My name is Carmen Bryant. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Wizehire. I've been here for about a little over 3 years now. Before I was at Wizehire, I was actually at Indeed for over 6 years. So I've been in the HR tech space for about a decade now and really have primarily been working with businesses, thinking about how to help them hire more effectively, and how to help them find, candidates. And it has become increasingly a challenge, which is going to be some of what we talk about, during our time here. And I am thrilled to have Nichole here with me. This is, I think, our third time having a conversation together, and she always has such great insights. And I want to give Nichole the floor so she can introduce herself. Tell us a little bit about her background and, what she does at How to Manage a Small Law Firm.
And I think now, Carmen, it speaks to how well we know each other that you preface with, Nicole's never said anything in just 45 minutes. So, so today might go a little long. I so appreciate that. I am the incoming Chief Operating Officer, COO of How to Manage a Small Law Firm. If you're wondering what we do, we help small law firm owners and we help you manage your small law firm. And we'll be talking more about that later today. I have spent my life, my entire adult professional life, um, working with law firm owners and lawyers to help them, I say, be better lawyers by owning better businesses, right? So provide better client service, maybe sometimes by not providing it yourself. But my whole life I've been running law firms. So big, little, government, private. I have been plugged into all of them, and that's why I love doing what we do because I like to help people build better businesses. I like to help lawyers build better businesses. So.
Nichole has such amazing experience too. I know that you've been a law firm owner, right?
Yeah, I do
One.
call myself a recovering lawyer. Yes.
Yeah, so she's, had the gamut of the various experiences. So I think she's going to be a great value for folks on the call. Well, I know we talked about how to set yourself up for success in 2026, but I feel like before you can look forward, we do have to sort of like take a moment and think about 2025 and just reflect a little bit. And I think one of the best ways to start planning for what you want to do in the new year is to reflect on what worked well and what didn't work well in the year prior. When you look back at 2025, what do you think is the simplest way a firm can audit or think about their wins and gaps from the previous year? Like how should they be thinking about that?
And I think too, yes, and these businesses have a natural rhythm. The calendar year brings a natural rhythm. People want to take account at this point, right now and start planning for the future. The other thing that I see among business owners this time of year, uh, comparing yourself to where you wanted to be, maybe, comparing
Mm.
yourself to where you are uh, at this point last year, like what has the last 12 months been? Those are great things to do, especially compare yourself, sit down right now and think when I started 2025, these were the targets I set. Where have I come? How have I accomplished those targets? Unfortunately, one of the other things I see happen at this time of year is we go to bar association mixers. Everybody's doing end of the year networking and meetings, and people are coming back together. And I start noticing, especially among the members of How to Manage, comparing yourself to someone else.
Mm.
So I I love your question is what can we do to look at our wins, our gaps as we start mapping out 26? What should we look at first? The first thing I want to say is don't look to the left and don't look to the right. Don't look at your neighbor. Don't compare yourself to other firms. Don't make assumptions about what this person did or what that person didn't do. Take a look at yourself. You can, R. John Robbins, the founder of our company, said something to me the other day. Um, you cannot or should not, I think, is you should not compare your beginning to someone else's middle.
Mm, I love
And
that.
so we don't know where all of our friends and colleagues are in their journeys. What we do know is where we are. So I think the first thing I would say is sit down and map out what do you want to do,
Mm,
right? Don't don't look back, look forward first. First thing we're going to do is look forward. When you go to Disneyland and you walk into the amusement park, there's that big map, right? And everybody sort of plots out how do I get to Space Mountain the fastest? How do I get to the Matterhorn the fastest? Figure out where you want to go. Then go find the you are here link and dot and figure out how to get there, right? If you just look in the rear view mirror, if you just focus on what were my gaps in 2025, you're not going to grow into 2026. So let's start 2026 by saying, what do I want to be really excited about this time next year? And I think that that's a really great place to start. Start by looking forward. How much money do I want to make? What do I want to be really proud of? What do I want to be celebrating 12 months from now? Want a new car? Want to have enrolled yourself in some classes? Do you want to finally like your clients again? Do you want to be really happy about the team that you've put together? Figure that out and then say, okay, now where am I?
mm,
And when you say, now where am I? Do me a favor and don't think about how you feel for a minute, but then let's go look at that you are here dot. Go look at your calendar. How am I spending my time? If nothing changes, where am I putting most of my time and how have I spent my money? I think those are the two things that how much money did we make and how did I spend it and how did I spend my time? So that we can say, okay, so given that's how I spend my time and that's how I spend my money and this is where I want to go, now how do I make the plan to get there? This is a great time of year to be doing that,
I
not
love that.
comparing yourself to other people.
I love that too, because what it really makes clear is you kind of have to know where you're going so you can figure out how to get there. Like if you don't have a
Yeah,
destination in mind, how do you
you just
even, you know? One of the reasons why I think it's so great to have you on these conversations is that you work with so many, how to manage work with so many law firms. And you have so many, I would imagine you just have so many examples of folks doing things in an array of different ways.
Mhm.
So, folks on the call who might be struggling with things, you've probably worked with firms who are dealing with this or, have dealt with this before. So I'm
Yes.
curious, like, do you feel that, um, the firms that you work with are sort of like good or have sort of like a good handle on how to look at, for example, where they spend their money. And if they were trying to that's part one. And if they aren't, what advice would you give them about how to assess like that piece?
I'll tell you, thank you for that question because if you are a lawyer or people, I saw somebody on here owns a small real estate business. Um, that's a certification class too. Nowhere in any of those law school classes did they ever tell you how to figure out how you should set up your calendar, figure out how you should set up your bank accounts. So when I meet new law firm owners through how to manage a small law firm, and when I was a new law firm owner and joined how to manage a small law firm, um, they really helped me to understand, don't expect you to know this stuff.
Hmm.
So one of the things that we do is we help, and so I'll give you guys some free I'll give you guys some free lessons today. If you have QuickBooks, then you have access to a profit and loss statement. If you have a bookkeeper or a CPA, you have access to a profit and loss statement. It's also called an income statement. Look at that. And because it will show you month over month over month over month over month, how much money did you deposit and how much money did you spend and where did you spend it? And so that can help you start setting some targets. That can help you start figuring out, is my money making me money? When I spend $1 on marketing, I want it to bring me $10. When I spend $1 in recruitment, I want it to bring me $10 of value. When I deposit into my bank account, here's the lesson. Here's your free lesson for the day. No, there's going to be a couple. Um, Take a look, and for the dollars that you deposited, right? Let's just go with $1 to make the math easy. $1. I want you guys to look at that dollar and see, did I spend, or what percentage of it did I spend on legal production? What I made $1, how much did I pay out to the people? Maybe it's just you. How much did you pay out to producing those legal matters? How much of that dollar did I spend on overhead? And when I say overhead, I'm talking everything except legal production. Receptionist, LexisNexis or Westlaw, the legal research, your case management subscription, your Wizehire subscriptions, your marketing spend, your just all of it, right? Everything that's not legal production, everything else I want you to consider overhead and how much went to legal production and how much went to overhead. And then lastly, the most important part, how much went to profit. And you can start setting some targets. And here's sort of we call it the rule of thirds because I'm a lawyer and I like stuff that's easy to remember. So a third goes to pay legal production. A third goes to pay your overhead, and a third goes to profit. And if you can start setting those targets, so set the targets, every dollar that comes in, 33 cents is going to pay for legal production. 33 cents is going to pay for marketing and subscriptions and rent and utilities and everything else. And 33% is going to go to profit. And set those targets and then go look and see where you were.
Mm,
And that helps you figure out what levers you need to move, what changes you need to make.
I
And I
love that.
say look at the profit and loss statement because uh, your profit and loss statement is just the numbers by the book. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care what you think was most important. Um, the numbers aren't going to lie to you. The numbers are going to let you know you spent 60% of your money on rent. Probably not the decision you need to make moving forward if you want to have a legal team and a receptionist and Westlaw and do some marketing and maybe have any profit left over at the end of the day. Probably shouldn't be spending 60% on rent. So what do we do with that? That's what I would encourage you guys when I say sit down and first set your targets and then look and see where you are now and then help make the plan to get there so that we don't make the same mistakes in 2026 that we made in 2025.
Yeah. I like what you said when we were talking before, make better mistakes.
Yes. That's that's my goal every single day is to get out there and make better mistakes.
Yes, I love it. I love it because you're going to make
Fail
mistakes.
fail faster. Yeah.
Yeah, fail faster, make better mistakes. I think that's a mantra we should all sort of take on. And I love that advice. I mean, it's so clear and actionable. You know, if you are looking at your numbers and you are overspending on overhead, that gives you very clear direction in terms of what you need to do and think about going into 2026.
And and on your tip, like if you're looking and you're like, "Oh, 70% of my money went to paying this paralegal and this attorney."
Yeah,
And then we go, okay, so what are we going to do to get the paralegal and the attorney? We're not, to make more money. We're not going
Yeah.
to cut them. Or how do we find a paralegal or an attorney who can hit their billable goals, who can close the number of cases that they need
Mm,
to close, who can provide the service that clients want to pay for? How can we make better hiring decisions and better training decisions in the coming year to help our staff do what they
yeah.
need to do?
You've teed me up beautifully,
I
Nichole.
try.
Um, because the next thing I wanted to talk about was hiring because, obviously we are in the hiring spurt, so we're hearing a lot, but I'm curious to know what you've been hearing from the firms you work with when it comes specifically to hiring.
I reached out specifically to my fractional chief operating officers. So one of the things that How to Manage a Small Law Firm does is we have some people like me who are operations geeks and systems nerds. And we work with our members to help them hire, to create job descriptions, to do all of that work. And so I reached out to those folks because they're plugged in. They're meeting with their members every week to help them hire. And I said, what are you guys seeing? What are you guys hearing? And it was so interesting. It's like the two extremes. Yeah, it's a super tight market and nobody's looking. There's nobody good is looking for work. And then the other ones were, we had so many applicants that we can't get through them all.
Yeah.
You know, we have both extremes. So many applicants, not sure if they're even any good, no good applicants, or no applicants at all. And it led us to talking about what does it look like now versus this time last year, this time the year before, this time coming out of, at some point we were coming out of a pandemic and everybody was talking about the great reorganization. And
Mm,
I think that's even where I met you. I think this might be the
yeah.
first conversation that we've ever had. And I'm going to say now what I said then. And I think this is holding true. It's always been hard to find rock stars. It's never like
Mm,
the purple unicorn with wings, the superstar employee. There aren't a bunch of them just waiting around, laying around, easy for the grabs. They wouldn't be superstars if they were. We have to figure out in this job market, in last year's job market, in tomorrow's job market, figure out how to talk to the superstars in a way that they will hear, figure out how to recruit them in a way that they will see. Um, it's always been hard to get the A plus employees.
mhm,
In this job market, what we're seeing going into 2026 is that there's plenty of C level people.
mm,
There's plenty of C plus students out there looking for work. So how do you get through that noise to find the really good candidates? And that
yeah.
seems to be what we're seeing now working with firms when it comes to hiring is that the A plus employees, um, you need something special to attract them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, with the firms that are being successful hiring right now, or like this past year versus the ones that haven't been so successful? What do you think separates them? What do you think differentiates them?
I think two things.
Yeah.
One is how much they're prioritizing hiring.
Yeah.
If you're treating it like I'll post that job when I can.
Hmm.
Oh, I see. I should check my Wizehire and see if anybody applied. I'll do that tomorrow. Um, are you putting your time and money behind it? Are you prioritizing it? And then the other thing I think goes back to what we were talking about with the A plus employees. Do you know who you're looking for?
Yeah.
And are you talking to them in a way that they will hear you? Um, I don't think that there is a talent scarcity right now. And somebody on your team said it's clarity scarcity, and I so love that.
Yeah.
Um, do you know who you are as a firm? Do you know what kind of culture you have? Um, do you know who your A plus clients are? Not just employees, who are your A plus clients? And now Who can we find that will fit your environment, add to your environment, build your culture, and help you really serve the clients that you want to serve? Um, if you are trying to appeal to everybody, you will appeal to nobody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you, there's a book, right, called The A Level for Hiring. It's called Who, and they make a
Oh
good
yeah.
point.
The
The
who
authors
method.
in there make a good point, which is your problem is not a what problem. Your problem is a who problem,
Yeah.
So find the right person that can either help you build the firm you want to build, find the person that can help you build the culture that you want to build, talk directly to those people, and don't talk to the people that you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And you're right. It's interesting. It's such like a kind of like a marketing challenge too, because I mean, I think we've talked about how marketing and recruiting are very similar
Yes.
because it's like there's, internally when we talk to our go-to-market team, we think about who are the people that we can attract, who are
Yep.
the people that we can actually sell, and then who are the people who we can actually service,
Yeah.
who are going to be really successful. Like who are the like, and it's kind of the same approach when you think about it in terms of like your employees, right? Hiring someone to come in and work for 90 days isn't the hard part. It's finding someone who's
No.
really going to like add to your business and grow your business. So that is, it's always kind of interesting, like the marketing and recruiting challenge.
You
Recruiting
know,
used to be a sales
and maybe
job.
that goes back even to like the very first thing you asked me, which was how can you look at your gaps and your wins right now? Sit down and make a list. Who are
Yeah,
your favorite clients? Who are the people that you want to serve more of? And what do they all have in common?
yeah,
That's your A+ client. Take a look at your favorite employees or your favorite people. What do they all have in common? What trends do you see? Those start to become the characteristics of your A+ employees. Now go find more of those.
yeah, yeah. I think that's like perfect. Um, One of the things that we see at Wizehire that happens is there's like and obviously we're a hiring platform, so we might be a little biased, but we do tend to see a hiring surge in Q1, and it's both from seems to be employers for sure who are
Mhm.
posting jobs. Maybe they're like flush with new budgets, but also job seekers, right? Like job seekers tend to get really active after the holidays. So we kind of see this influx of activity coming onto our platform and job boards. Do you see that pattern from your experience? Like what are you seeing happening in kind of like the beginning of the year, and what do you think is driving that or happening behind the scenes?
Yeah, I love that you're the hiring platform, and so you have the metrics that support. Because for so much time, it's been we
Mm,
feel like there's a lot of hiring happening, but I didn't have the numbers. So knowing that you guys like confirmed that, I think is very helpful. Um, I think on job seekers, there's a few reasons why. One is, especially in the legal field, the bonuses get paid at the end of the year.
mm, yeah.
So, like, I'm not going to work somewhere for 11 months, perform, and then not be there on the day that they, they hand out the bonus for
Yeah.
all the work that I did. Once they collect their bonus, they're a little more open to making some different job choices. Maybe they didn't get the bonus that they wanted. Maybe they didn't get the bonus they were promised. Maybe they wanted to use up their PTO and get through the holidays. I also think that from what I have experienced with working with the folks who are in how to manage is that if this person is on your payroll on December 5th, or I mean on November 15th, they're going to be there until about January 5th. Because nobody wants to be the person that fired somebody right before Thanksgiving. Nobody wants to be the person that fired somebody right before Christmas. Nobody wants to be with the person that fires somebody, on New Year's Day. And so the members of How to Manage, start thinking in October,
Mm,
who do I want to bring with me into the new year?
Mm,
In October, we do that. Who are your A pluses? What makes them an A plus? Do we need to coach them up? Do we need to coach them out? Do we need to find another role for them? Find a place for them to land? Knowing that we're going to start building now for for where we want to be in January, and then we will have the conversations that we need to have. Thank you very much for your service. Here's 2 weeks. Thank you very much. We'd like to give you some training. Thank you very much, or we'd like to give you some coaching. So I think all of those things come together around the new year, and people are full of hope for the new year, right? They're like, I'm
yeah.
finally going to get that job I love. I'm finally going to get, you know, um, where I feel respected or like part of the group. And the employers are like, I'm going to go hire my A plus people. And I think that starts to tick up around quarter 3, at least for our members, as we start making plans for what quarter 4 and the next year should look like.
Yeah. I'm not going to put anybody on the call on the spot because I'm sure I am imagining there are some people on the call who have people in their firm and their business who they don't expect to be there, say come March of 2026. So I love the advice to start thinking about that in Q4, October, and start to plan for that. And
Mhm.
if that means depending on how they're contributing or detracting from the business even,
Yes.
sometimes you might even have to pay those folks to go away, very, very graciously and very gratefully.
I call it hashtag succeed elsewhere. Like, like you're just not a fit here. I'm going to help you
Yeah,
succeed elsewhere. And
yeah,
so here's here's a good faith bonus. Walk away. And if I can, if they're not like a horrible person, they're just not a good fit for us, we'll
yeah,
try and make a referral to somebody they might be a good fit.
yeah. Yeah, and sometimes that is, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like everyone is not going to be successful in every environment, and I think it's good to just be honest about that.
Yeah,
One of the things you said also is, Nichole, you said that you talk in, what did you say, bumper stickers?
I do.
You know,
Yes, I
and
do speak in bumper stickers.
there are certain things that you have said to me that I do repeat consistently. And one of the things you talk about is this idea of always be sourcing, always be sourcing. And quite honestly, I think, when Wizehire started, we were, it was a different labor market. People were coming to us. They were very reactive in their hiring strategies. They were constantly scrambling. And we now live in an environment where people just have to be more proactive. You have to be thinking about your next hire before you even have a role open. Um,
You should be.
yeah, and so for always be sourcing, like what do you think is the benefit of that kind of approach to hiring? What happens when you have that mindset?
Another bumper sticker, I guess. You have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince. I think that if we go with what you said a moment ago, which is marketing and recruitment are twins,
Mm,
right? They're the same muscle. They're the looking for your A plus client, looking for your A plus employee, getting your message out there into the world. Always be sourcing goes every reflex that you have as a business owner. If you don't market and sell, you die. you
yeah,
you close your doors. If you aren't looking for your next client, you're not making any money, you're not growing. If you're not looking for your next employee, you're not making any money, you're not growing. And so as you learn how to do the thing, like somebody, they say but there is a saying that practice makes perfect, right?
yeah,
Perfect practice makes perfect.
yes,
Practicing the bad things over and over again doesn't just get you perfect at the bad things.
yeah,
Perfect practice makes perfect. So, if you want to be better at interviewing, do more interviews. If you want to be better at selling, have more sales conversations, even with people who you know might not buy. If you want to be better at interviewing, interview people even though you know you're not going to hire them. so that you just get better at that
Yeah.
reflex, at that muscle, at listening to people's answers. Um, I remember when I had my own law firm. I had worked at the public defenders. I had hired, oh, I can't tell you how many people, how many interviews I did for public defenders across the state of Florida. Um, when I opened my own law firm and I sat down to do my first interview for my first employee, it is such a different feeling. It hits different when it's for you. And I had to fight every instinct in me that was like, somebody wants to work for me. I hope they like me.
Yeah.
Like, I hope they like me. I hope they want to work here. At the public defender's office, I never had that. I sure hope they like us feeling. I was like, I need to hire the most qualified person for the role. When it was for my firm, I was like, I want to hire this person. I want them to like me. And so I realized, oh, I need to do more hiring.
Yeah.
I need to do more recruiting. I need to do more interviewing. Um, so just do more of it and you will get better at it and it will become not intimidating. The more resumes you read, the better you become at reading resumes, the better you become at spotting the lie,
Yeah.
the better you become at spotting the fit. Um,
Mm.
the less impressed you become. All of those things are true. And so if you just see it as integral to your job as marketing, as sales, is meeting new people. I was out to dinner with our HR, our chief of human resources, because for how to manage a small law firm. And we're going along and we're talking about like how great this particular person on the wait staff was. This waiter was great, attentive, and she started interviewing him.
Wow.
Are you happy where you are? How much do you make? Would you like to make more? Do you like? And I'm like, what are you doing? She
Yeah.
goes, well, you never know. He like people who are great at hospitality might be just like perfect for this particular role. And I just thought we should have this conversation. Like
Yeah.
she's always sourcing.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to go through life sort of remaining in your CEO builder hat, keeping that muscle primed and ready. You just get better at spotting the good ones. You get better at listening for the good answers, and you become more okay, like I said, failing faster, making new mistakes. Make mistakes.
Yeah.
Hire the
Yeah.
wrong person, figure out they're
Yeah.
the wrong person, figure out what made them the wrong
Yeah.
person. Promise not to do that
I
again.
know.
Go
Yeah.
hire another
There's
person.
something like hiring the wrong person to really make you revisit your whole hiring approach.
Yes.
Um, as I knew time would be flying by, I did want to make sure we hit that last tenet, which was around thinking about systems and operations, right? And like what people, I know operations is close to your fault, is close to your heart. What do you wish that more firms were actually doing or thinking about when it comes to operations?
I wish more firms had them. I wish more firms thought about operations. I wish more
Yeah,
firms thought about systems. As it relates to hiring, have a system,
yeah,
right? Wizehire is great. Like get the resume in, screen the resume, give them the next hoop to jump through, give them the next hoop to jump through, have the interview. Um, do things in a predictable, consistent, repeatable way. That's how we learn, like you just said, hire the wrong person. There's no better way to tell how you need to sit down and reevaluate your hiring systems. Where did we miss this? How can we do better next time? One of our fractional COOs told me the people that she sees having the best success right now are the people who have a hiring system and do it fast.
yeah,
The you get an application, you review it, you respond. You get an application, you review it, you respond. You treat it like a priority and you give it some quickness.
yeah.
I think the other thing I always think about with systems, um, other than have them, is let let your prospects, let your recruits, let your candidates and your employees know what good looks like. Let them know what's expected of them. Let them know how they'll know if they're doing a good job. I think when you and I were talking before, I said, NASCAR got something right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like NASCAR and I'm not a huge NASCAR fan, but I can find a sports analogy for just about everything. NASCAR gets it right because the driver sees their speedometer. They know how fast they're going. They know when they need to upshift and downshift. They know if the oil's getting low. They know if the tires are getting low. They've got a dashboard. And the other thing they have is a time clock. They know their lap time and they can make adjustments in real time. Let your employees know, like it
Mm,
shouldn't be a surprise at the end of the quarter, did I hit my billables? It shouldn't be a surprise at the end of the quarter, what's my customer satisfaction score? Let them see their lap time and talk with them about how to make adjustments. The other thing that NASCAR does really well, that driver's not out there by themselves.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's somebody in the ear. There's somebody looking at this and looking at the field and saying you need to go faster here. Don't come get tires yet. Blah 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 blah. There's a pit crew who's there to help them. They're not asking people to read the dashboard and make the adjustments all on their own. There's another group of people there like giving them advice and giving them help. I and all of that's made possible through systems. And when we talk about systems, Carmen, we're not just talking about computer systems,
yeah,
right? It's what are your policies? What are your procedures? What's automated? What's a trigger? How does the widget move down the assembly line? And some of it's computer systems and some of it's people systems.
yeah, yeah,
And put them together and test them out.
yeah. I think that, um, I know in the past I have underestimated the importance of having strong systems and then kind of bore the brunt of that after the fact. Obviously we talk about hiring a lot, but that's why we advocate having such a structured hiring process because it enables you to move quickly, you learn, you iterate. If you need to change it, you can change it. There's nothing to say that it has to remain the same.
Right.
But it's really important to have some kind of structured
And
process.
and you can't move on as the owner of the law firm to do the things that only you can do
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah,
you don't have a system that gives structure so that you're able to delegate it.
yeah,
Like if only you can do this thing and there's no structure because all of the structure and all of the signage lives in your head, no one
yeah,
can ever help you.
yeah. I imagine that there's probably even a separate class on just how to get people to delegate and get the systems in their head documented. Which is actually probably, like I said, we're time is honing in. I'm gonna encourage people to post questions. I'm gonna ask like maybe one or two more questions of Nichole. And you kind of sort of like are leading me to the last thing. One of the things that I did want to touch on kind of briefly because we talked about auditing 2025 and thinking about that. We talked about sort of like how to get ready for your first hire in 2026 now. We talked about sort of systems and operations, and we can, kind of go deeper into a few things. But I also wanted to talk a bit about, or just get a take from you on leadership and leadership clarity. And you were kind of talking about the owner mindset and that kind of was just making me think about, you know, what do you see or what have you observed with, um, those owners or leaders that are um, able to have the right mindset? Like, what is it that they have that is, I don't know. I guess the question is it a mindset shift? Is it clarity? Like, how would you articulate what makes someone really good at being clear about what it is that they need to do and how to move forward? What is that mindset shift?
When you say mindset, I think of mindset as my definition for mindset is it's how you think about what you think,
Mm,
how you think about what you think about, right?
yeah.
Um, so one of the first, whether you are in a running a real estate firm, whether you're running a law firm, whether you're running an engineering firm, do you think of yourself as an engineer, a realtor, a lawyer? Or do you think of yourself as the owner?
Mm,
Do you think of yourself as a business owner or do you think of yourself as a lawyer? When you opened up your own business and hung out your own shingle, if in my members case, small law firm owners, what they did was they promptly created themselves a job. um, Rather than a business, they created a job for themselves. And so the mindset shift that I think when I have a lawyer come into how to manage and they have $100,000 in revenue, right? Last year, we deposited $100,000. I can have two of those firms come in at the same time. One of them in San Diego is going to be a $50 million business 7 years later.
mm,
One of them is breaking $1 million 7 years later. Uh, and the difference was the mindset. I am a stakeholder in this business. I am not the entire labor force.
mm,
And so it's that knowing knowing how to hire, knowing that you have to hire, knowing that you have to train, knowing that you have to bring people on, um, and that you don't need to be the one at the middle pulling all of the levers and pushing all of the buttons, right? That I think is the difference. Um, can I can I give my can I do I have time to give my job description of the
yes.
owner of a
Yes,
business?
yes, 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 please.
This is like my favorite lesson to teach.
Yeah.
Um, when people think about what's the business of a law firm, the business of a law firm is to sell legal services. That's the business of a law firm. It's the job of a lawyer to provide legal services. It's the business of a law firm to sell legal services. So,
Mm,
what's the business of the owner? The business of the owner is not to sell legal services. That's the business of the firm. What the owner needs to do, and if you want to own a profitable law firm business, you have to priority one, make sure marketing's happening. Priority two, make sure sales is happening. Priority three is the one that nobody likes to talk about. Make sure the money gets collected. You can market all day. If you can't close a sale, you can't stay open. You can market all day and sell all day. And if you don't collect the money, you can't stay open. You don't grow. So make sure the marketing happens. Make sure the sales happen. Make sure the money gets collected. Number four on that list is make sure the work gets done. And I think, Carmen, the essence of the question that you asked me, which is what's the mindset of a leader, is do you hear make sure the sales happens, make sure the marketing happens, make sure the money gets collected, make sure the work gets done, and think, how am I supposed to get all that done?
yeah.
Or do you hear make sure, make sure, make sure, make sure, and the making sure equals hiring, training, onboarding, managing, leading. The making sure is getting help, making sure you're not the only person working in your firm. So it's my job as the owner to make sure the marketing's happening. Does that mean I do the marketing? Maybe, but it also means I'm looking at the reports to make sure the marketing's happening. And
Mm,
I'm looking at the dashboards to make sure that the person who I'm asking to do the marketing, the person that I'm paying to do the marketing is doing the marketing. I'm looking at sales. Am I making every sale? Maybe at first. But eventually, am I going to hire somebody in to help me make sales? Am I doing all of the work? Or am I doing the billing? Maybe at first, but I have to hire somebody to make sure that billing happens regularly. Am I doing the legal work? Maybe at first, but then you got to hire people to help you do the legal work. So I think that's the mindset difference is how
Yeah.
willing are you to get people in there to help you make sure the things happen, not that you have to do those things yourself.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I think this is so relevant, and I would, folks, if you have questions, please feel free to drop them. Um, I know that like your experience and we talk a lot about law firms, and obviously that's, who we've kind of targeted, but I've been on nonprofit boards where I wish the executive director had that mindset,
Yes.
because I think the default too often is to do it all yourself, or to kind of not hire effectively to have the right people, or to hire fast, but not
Mhm.
necessarily hire effectively,
Oh, for sure. Yes.
you
Um,
know?
that warm body approach. I
Yeah.
just need a warm body. Like I just need somebody. Somebody's better than nobody.
Not
No,
always. Yeah.
not,
Yep.
not always. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, sometimes you have to go, you know what? I'm going to interview this person because I need to get better at interviewing. You don't have to hire somebody who's not going to be a fit just so that you can have somebody sitting in the spot. That just means you do more work.
Yeah. And I think, when you have hired and interviewed a lot, sometimes you get lucky.
Oh,
You,
sure.
you bring someone in fast and it turns out to have worked, not necessarily because of the hiring process, but because,
You got
yeah,
lucky.
you got lucky. So that's
But I think that's a mindset too worth embracing, which is how often can you get lucky
yeah,
before you, right? Like how long are you going to sit at the table in Vegas and just hope that you stay lucky? And is
yeah,
that a way to build a sustainable, repeatable, predictable, reliable source of income for yourself and your family? I probably don't want to leave that to luck. I probably want to figure out, you know, a way to do it again and again and again, a little more predictably, a little more reliably. Get that first lucky hire, write down everything about them that stood out to you as the right decision, and now go see if you can find that again, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it it's everything we've talked about. It just goes back to the do it more and now figure out what you did that worked and do more of that and figure out what you did that didn't work and do less of that.
yeah. I know. It's like, I mean, and that's why, that structured process and iterating and learning is such a big component of that. I don't see any questions coming in. So there were a couple that were pre-submitted that I did want to, I think would be good to kind of bring up here, but folks for sure don't be shy. One was a little general, and we probably have some materials that we can share, but one was a question that was around how to attract top tier candidates. What are some tips you have for folks in legal that are trying to attract top tier candidates?
Define top tier.
Well, that's the first question. By the
That's
way,
the first tip.
yeah, yeah, and I think, what's interesting is, I didn't do much of a Wizehire sell, but I would be remiss if I didn't share a little bit about what we've been working on over here. We've had a year of a lot of investment in our platform and in our offerings. And a lot of it has been about how to make it easier for people to always be sourcing and to quickly identify matches for their top roles. So we launched Wizehire Scout, which is our AI recruiting assistant. And so it tells you basically what to do to make the best use of your time when you come on the platform. It can also surface the top candidates
Mhm.
for your roles, and you get to define what qualified looks like. So you can say qualified means, and you kind of set a set of priorities, or they must have the certification, and then they must also have these other things, or you prioritize them. So you're right. I think knowing what top tier means is really important.
Mhm.
And I have to give that shout out to kind of some of the internal work that we've done to do that. And then the other thing that we did this year was we did put a lot of investment into our candidate relationship management offering, which is
Mm.
really about passive talent. Like I was looking at one of the folks that had registered for this, and they had like 6,500 people that had previously applied to a role at, one of their sort of firms. And it's like, these are 6,500 people that have already raised their hand and said that they were interested in a job at your company. And maybe they weren't qualified for the specific job, but with kind of like candidate relationship management and our solution in particular, you can put them into groups, you can create automated campaigns. So as you're sourcing people, maybe there's not an immediate role, but you have a mechanism to keep them engaged and warm until there is one. So I did want to, just give a shout out to some of that because we do recognize how challenging it is to find the time to do some of this as thoughtfully. So what can we do to just make it easier and faster? So sorry I cut you off, but when you said top tier, I was like, you're right. Like
That's my
you,
answer though,
you got to
right?
know what top tier is.
And you summed it up. Like, how do you get the top tier candidates? You know who top tier is. You get help in finding those people. You keep a relationship with them, even if there's not a position today. If they're an outstanding human,
Yeah.
keep a relationship with them. And that goes back to our systems conversation. You gave them the system, you're giving them the system to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we're here for. One of the other questions was, thank you, Soraya, basically for that question too. And we got this question from D. What intangibles should we offer in 2026 for employee recruitment and retention?
Okay. So I think it's two conversations
Mm,
because there's recruitment and there's retention. Um, I think that it's a lot when you're talking about intangibles in terms of offerings to people. I think that goes back to our culture conversation. I think that goes back to um, what do you bring to the table? Who do you help? How do you help them? If you can recruit people who can embrace your mission, your vision, your values, that's what people fall in love with that about companies. The
yeah.
mission, the vision, the value. People go to work for organizations, for companies,
Mm,
right? Um, and so I think those are the intangibles that I would talk about during the recruitment phase. How much are you speaking to your mission, your vision, your values? How much are you setting yourself apart? All of that. When it comes to retention, we could do another 90-minute webinar
yeah.
on the intangibles of retention. So I'm going to say, call me. Call me and we can talk through. I do whole like 3, 4 day workshops on better retention strategies and how to be a better boss. And
Yeah.
I think how to be a better boss is what goes into retention.
That's our
How
next
to be a
webinar, Nicole. I
yeah.
think how to be a
You
better
want
boss. Yeah.
I'll happily do it, but I am going to talk longer than 60
Yeah.
minutes. So I think for recruitment, the intangibles are, be loud and proud and out about your mission and your vision and your values and who
Mhm.
you are and who you want to be on your
Yeah.
team. And then for retention, be out and proud about how you keep them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Well, this time has flown by. I do want to just also quickly remind folks that they can reach out to us. So I have our kind of information here on screen if you want to sort of schedule a meeting or call us. Nichole, are you okay with folks reaching out to you if they have additional questions?
Always.
Okay.